The Marder A1 is a German light tank with a battle rating of 7.3 and an infantry fighting vehicle, or short IFV. It has the primary purpose to transport infantry into the battle. The last time I checked, there was no infantry in War Thunder ground forces, but who knows what Gaijin is up to. For now we have to use the Marder A1 to fight tanks, planes and trees. Yes, I said trees. I will talk about that later. Welcome to my new video. First let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages before we dive into my tips. Being an infantry fighting vehicle, the Marder A1 has absolutely no armor and sometimes it feels like the whole tank is a huge weak spot. Although the turret is unmanned, I got destroyed several times as enemies just shot at my turret while I was hull down. The problem is that the third ammo rack is directly connected to the gun and you can't keep it empty by taking only a few rounds to the match. Only when you run completely out of ammunition it is empty. So a shot that hits the top of the tank or the gun can cause your ammo rack to blow up. Also planes, strong machine guns and artillery really like the Marder A1 as a target. Let's talk about the gun, or let's say cannon. We got a 20mm cannon with around 50mm of penetration value at 100 meter. This is not enough to destroy heavy armored tanks, and sometimes I even wasn't able to penetrate some rather squishy tanks from the front when they had sloped armor. But I found a way to use it and will talk about it in my tips. The Marder A1 also has some advantages. The gun handling is really good even though it has no stabilizer. The rate of fire is amazing and you have 200 rounds in a belt. With this you can even miss some shots on planes and helicopters before reloading. Very helpful for me. The gun depression is outstanding with -17 degrees and enables you to go to positions you normally can't use. In addition to the 20mm cannon, the Marder has an ATGM launcher with 4 missiles. With this you can actually take out some heavy armored enemies. But you want to use them wisely since you only got 4 of them. Sometimes I was able to destroy enemies at once with the missiles, sometimes they just didn't do any damage. Beside the armament, the Marder A1 has an outstanding mobility, a laser rangefinder, can scout enemies, and a night vision device. But I can't talk about the NVD since I never use it. Here are my tips on how to play the Marder A1 and have an impact on the match. Tip number 1. Play as support. Well, that one is obvious since the Marder has no armor, but in addition the armament is also tricky to use. I wasn't able to just flank the enemy and rather had to support my team as follows to have a good match. First off, you want to hide your tank behind solid cover all of the time. Only engage an enemy if he isn't aware of you. As mentioned earlier, you have no armor and the ammo rack is connected to the gun. Second, you want to stay with teammates to support them with repairing, damaging the enemies and scouting. But make sure to hide your tank. I use ridge lines and walls and in town matches heavy armored teammates in piles of rubble. Only engage if it is safe to do so and move from one solid cover to the next. Another improvement was as I moved closer to the capture points. The cannon can be deadly even for medium tanks when you are close to the enemies. 50mm of penetration value can be enough for some side armors to deal damage and take out enemies. Tip number 2. Manage the match. I like to start a match by using the mobility of the Marder A1 and go to a position that is close to a capture point where I can hide my tank all of the time behind solid cover and where I have an escape route or the enemy can't push me easily. First I scout the enemies for my team. This is very important because at the BR 7.3 the guns are so good that you can get sniped easily from any position of the map. For your slower heavy teammates it is good to know where the enemies are and it is safe to move onward. Once your team is in position and actually beyond your position, you can start attacking the enemies that are focused on your teammates. Shoot on the side armor, use your missiles or just scout and track the enemy. When your teammates need to be repaired, help them if it is safe to do so. When there are helicopters or planes, take cover and attack them when you are comfortable. The fast fire rate of the Marder is also a good indicator for the enemies where you are. You can also use the mobility to clear a capture point or even capture it when it is safe. I also like to use the cannon to destroy visual cover on the side of the enemy. Mow down some trees, bushes and fences so that the enemies can't sneak up on your teammates by using visual cover. You can also clear your line of fire to shoot your missiles on the enemy. Tip number 3. Pick your fights. This is really important when you want to destroy some enemies. Wait till the enemy isn't looking at you or has to focus on a teammate. Peek and boom over the ridgeline or from behind a pile of rubble and back up when the enemy is aiming at you. Squishy tanks can be destroyed easily, but keep in mind they can also return fire immediately. If necessary, use your mobility to relocate and try to engage the enemy from a different angle or another enemy. You can shoot down planes, helicopters, but hide your vehicle and relocate if they are still alive. The Marder is very squishy. Overall, the Marder A1 can be fun to play. Keep in mind you are not a vehicle that's primary purpose is to destroy tanks. I would recommend to rather play the Leopard 1 in a full down team match, since you have one of the strongest guns in the match, and it is needed. In every other match, help your team by scouting the enemies, repairing teammates and even taking out some squishy or unaware hostile vehicles. I hope I was able to give you some tips on how to play the Marder A1 and you liked the video. Like, subscribe and leave a comment if you want to, and check out my Discord server for more information and to connect with other players. Hope to see you in game soon.